received a notice, and the ordinance authorizes, the code authorizes, it authorizes the county sanitarian, administrator of the APC, and or the sheriff's department. So all three are
Authorized.
yeah.
Before I actually do anything about court. And I can then charge.
Well, this contemplates the county doing the work and then recovering the cost through either a lien, would be a lien on the property.
So I then ask the county, what department of the county do I ask to do the work?
Well, the vehicles is
The sheriff's department.
sheriff.
What about the trash?
Well, if you know, that's usually coordinated between whoever the inspectors are. If you don't have a county inspector, then it's usually coordinated between the health department and the, in this case, area plan.
We have focused on this in the past with Hodges Drive being a private drive. We've had a lot of issues getting cooperation, obviously, we've been back there several times. I've spoke to Mike Thomas a few times, he's went back there. So it's a private drive that circles back there. Obviously, the homes are within the county, but it's a road that's not very, friendly, and there's not a lot of road there, to be honest.
This is all 600 north, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this has
That
been,
guy talked to me not too long ago about his neighbors burning that big old pile back there.
yes, which we have been there a few times for the fire department as well, so.
Is this the one where we were concerned that you couldn't get an ambulance down the trigger?
Yes,
and all
it's
that?
the exact same drive. So it's been an ongoing issue for 20 years.
It's been around for a while, yeah. Anyway, so let's focus on 6120 Hodges Drive just for a minute, because that one's coming up for tax sale. And it is a mess, and I need to go ahead and get it cleaned up. The question with that one is, do I wanna clean it up, or do you wanna let it go to tax sale and let whoever buys it clean it up? If they clean it up,
So they can't go on that for a year.
yeah.
That's right, if they buy it.
Well, if we do it before the tax sale, then during the tax sale, we would get our money back if they sell the property.
Don't think there's time, we missed the window, I
We
think.
have we missed the window for that?
Well, our tax sale is coming up, I mean, so
So it could have been added.
Well, the lien, I have to look at the statute, but, you know, they usually exist before this period of time. I don't know where all we are in the tax sale cycle.
Tax sales in
August?
I
August.
think it was October.
October?
Yeah, I think you're right.
That's to be determined, whether we can get it in time or not. We can't answer that.
Do we still have money in a budget for cleanup?
I right now have $3,200 for cleanup in the environmental. in the health department budget.
We
I
put
don't know.
10,000 in that
Yeah,
when Angie was there.
yeah, I didn't know. Scott back there somewhere, yeah?
Yeah, I would have to look and see.
Yeah, I don't
believe-
remember if we have it back in there again or not. You got the budget here?
The thing is though, if it's cleaned up and you have a bill, you can submit it. I'm just, because we add sewer liens all the time. So I'm sure we could do the weed lien, or say that there is one on it, and deal with the property.
One thing we've run into before is that some of these properties are so bad that we don't have enough money in there to clean it up. You know, or certainly one property can exhaust all the money that we have.
Well, that's a concern with this particular site, because I think there's 3 cars on it. Then there's a huge pile of the dust that's in the front of the building, and it's a mobile home that probably
Needs to go to.
yeah, it's a mess. Oh, it's number 7.
I like this.
Yeah, it's a good deal.
Well, at least let's just see a little bit of what you're.
Well, I drove down around there and
Yeah,
it's gotten really noisy.
Number 7, this picture I took in July, and it's just getting progressively worse.
So they're just using it as a dumpster.
Somebody is. The building's abandoned. I have never seen a car parked there that looks like it's, you know, currently licensed. And I've been up there 3 or 4 times, 5 times maybe. Anyway, the person who has talked about buying it is the guy who owns number 6. And if you wanna look at the pictures of number 6,
He's got all the doors.
he's got a huge pile of cars here, which he assured me were all in current use for his business.
Yeah, that looks like it's safe use.
They all look like they're in use,
Got
okay?
a tree growing right outside.
Yeah, well, several of them have trees growing in them. So obviously they've not been moved for any time in the near
Maybe
past.
it's a new way to plant.
Could be.
It's a garden.
But there's all kind, if you look closely, there's all kinds of junk inside the cars as well, so I don't know. And then if you look back to site number 5, site number 5 has an abandoned car and an abandoned trailer in it, which also, yeah,
Are they still stripping that one trailer from the lot 5, Kevin? They pretty much had it gutted.
it's still there.
It's still there.
It's just in pieces, yeah. Anyway, I would like to see something done about cleaning this area up, but I'm not exactly sure that we have the funds to do anything.
I'd say find out what we charge to get the cars hauled out per
Okay.
vehicle, and start there. I think once we start moving on this, I think someone will say, hey, they're not fooling around anymore. They might start cleaning it.
All right, I will do that, but I wanted to kind of bring this all to your attention before I start making a lot of,
Before we get a lot of phone calls.
before everybody starts getting phone calls.
Well, to do it, normal, we have to have a title or something, have a release of it.
Yeah, and I,
Buy vehicles like that, without a title.
Well, the selling companies will get them, and once they're like this condition, they have to hold them, I think, for a certain amount of time. Then they just scrap them and turn them in, and that's how they get some of their money back.
Yeah, they
On
never,
top.
I don't know if they're worth, those scrap vehicles worth now.
well, I did call one place, they were out of, where are they out of? Lafayette, I believe, that told me that probably at the price of steel right now, there would be free pickup and a return, there would be money left over coming to the owner, because scrap's that high right now. And I did that last month at some point, when I was first starting to work with this.
So if you find someone and pick them up for free after they get tagged, that's a win-win situation.
Yeah. it's a-
Even for the owners, if they get money back.
Yeah, anyway, which brings us to, 6429, Podget, 6429, this one is in, Rockfield. And the pictures for that are, at the end of the first staple package you got, the very last,
There's many money in the budget.
First packet, the last
the
picture.
first packet, the last 2 pictures. This project has been going on since last fall. Randy Meyer, my cohort down there, had this place completely cleaned up in October last fall. He paid to have that done.
This is the guy that got the alligators, the turtles, the
Did I-
snakes, the goats, the
Yeah,
rabbits.
I don't know what else, but anyway,
Pit
this
bulls.
problem continues to get worse as well. And this one is an isolated deal. It's the absolute worst mess for a square mile.
And it's right next to the community center.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's right
I mow
next-
the yard right behind us.
Anyway, so this one also, I've been on there, but they've had an order to comply with the ordinance. I've called them and talked with them, and they've assured me they're gonna get it cleaned up, and there's no movement there either. So this is another one that I'm gonna probably move in on, but I don't know how much, I don't know how far the money's gonna go to do these things.
Ted, can we use edit money for that kind of stuff?
Sure. Amend your plan,
We can put it in
nuisance
next year's
abatement,
budget.
nuisance abatement.
We probably put some in there for next year's budget.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I really think if we're gonna tackle these problems, we need to be looking at, I hate to say it, probably $50,000. If we're gonna really cover all of it in a year. I think that would be,
But I think once we hit a few, everybody's gonna realize that, hey, I'm,
we're coming after it, and we're gonna get it cleaned up.
then how do we prove our money after that? Do we put the lien against the property?
Yes, and the statement of costs is, and it depends on each one, I mean, is this weeds?
No,
No, this is all gonna be trash.
This is all trash.
You statement
have
of
a
costs,
copy of that?
abatement, and it does,
You got 'em
becomes a
packet.
lien, but the lien doesn't, I have to, it's not covered in the code, that's covered in the Indiana code. I don't know whether that, it becomes a lien that's enforceable by foreclosure. You foreclose on the lien.
Is there a way to put fees and fines on these? Before we
Well,
get this far?
That's going through court.
Okay.
Fees and fines, it doesn't solve the problem, you know?
Well, I mean, if you got a $50 citation the first time, then the next time you get a $300 citation, and the next time,
Which all, you're going through the court, you're not cleaning up the property.
Yeah, that was, the part of the code that I looked at, was section 53.05 of the ordinance, in the ordinances, which basically said notification of violation of ordinance with description of violation and time limit for satisfactory resolution. And part two said, failure to comply means the person has committed an ordinance violation and must be convicted of this crime. The penalty for the first violation is $500. And each day it persists, it's another violation.
Subject to the court doesn't have to follow that.
right,
Yeah. Anyway, so this is the part that concerned me about just going on there and taking somebody's trash off their property and stuff. This part, I
well, this
would,
property in Rockville, I'd be afraid, you know, he might let his alligator out.
yeah,
I think it's gone.
No, it's
It's not,
Well, I
it's
mean,
in the
I don't-
house.
Yeah, that's what I'm.
I haven't been in the house, I don't know.
it's in the house,
There's
there's two of them.
some-
There's two 100-gallon fish tanks sitting out front now.
There's a tortoise there weighs about 300 pounds.
Was there?
He was outside the other day when I mowed.
Oh,
I even called the DNR to see if it was even legal to have.
They've been there several times and they've got
He is
permits.
huge. And he got a couple littler ones.
oh, he does, he's got babies,
Yeah.
Snakes,
How big is a 300-pound tortoise?
about like that.
Yeah. He's about this big. He stood that tall.
That right?
I bet he was 2 and a
They
half, 3
weigh,
feet tall.
they probably weigh 400 or 500 pounds, they're big animals.
It was neat,
Or was it?
there's a box.
Anyway,
but it's in a trash. Their backyard looks just like the front yard.
anyway, that's the first kind of issues that I had, and so I guess from what I'm hearing from you, I'll go ahead and proceed with cleanups with the money that I have available. And if you
I think
guys can authorize me to spend a little bit more next year, we'll push this even further next year.
Is that, what you'd recommend, Ted?
Versus what?
Versus what?
Versus filing a complaint ordinance violation, yes, definitely.
Yeah, once I do it the first time, I'm just gonna go ahead and move in and take care of them. That's what I'm hearing, we're okay with it.
Have you guys put that in your budget for next year?
Not yet, it needs to be
Well,
put in, and I,
budgets are.
yeah, I know, you're supposed to have a
I'm
budget.
supposed to have it, so if you need to change it, now's the time.
Yeah, well, there's one more item about budget for next year, and that is tires. We have a real difficult time in the county now. Nobody wants to take tires. And there is a recycling company out of Pennsylvania that will take them. Base price is $4 a tire. It varies a little bit depending on the size of the tire, whether or not it's on a rim. And if
Have you talked to our transfer station lady?
yeah, they won't take them. last word I got, they're not gonna take them.
But we're involved with the Northwest Solid District, and they normally have cleanups of like this. And, where's her name? Mindy up there, I'll come down after, I'll give you her cell phone number.
Do that, because I've been trying to look on the internet in Indiana, and I get circular references that lead me nowhere.
Right. I'll try to help you out.
Okay, because I don't know, what I was gonna propose is that the health department actually do an annual tire amnesty thing and have a big dumpster out there at the transfer station, just take tires from everybody in the county that wants to do it, and either pay for the whole thing, or do a partial, you know, you pay $2 and we pay $2 to get them all the way. Anyway, something to try to help people out with tires. That's, you know, that would be in next year's budget. But,
They used to take time, solid waste district.
solid waste district used to take them and they don't.
They don't anymore. There was a bigger cost to the district.
There's a company out there now that takes them and shreds them and gets the metal out of them, they use them for like part
Right.
mulch and stuff like that, so.
Well, the company I talked to is out of Pennsylvania, but they have a station here in Indiana.
Have you talked to our tire guy out here to see how he gets?
I haven't
his
talked to
tires?
him, no, I
Shane?
haven't.
He
Anyway,
could probably put us in the right direction.
I can do that too. This is something I was gonna throw in the budget for next year to try to do, because I have not found a source for taking it and helping people with that. All right, I think I've covered everything.
What I'm trying to say, Kevin, is this budget should be done, and so I need to have it.
Well, I know.
And I
but
know that she's waiting, but I've asked her to give it to me without signatures, so I can.
Yeah, and you asked her for it today or tomorrow, didn't you? Or next week? I think it was Monday, next week.
I don't remember what.
Well,
it's
she
over.
told me Friday what I had to do, and I don't remember quite what she said, I wrote it down.
No, she didn't mention. She just said that they weren't able to, because you didn't have a quorum,
Yeah, we didn't have one, and she's not been able to
get another one set up.
get a meeting set up where everybody will agree that can be there.
Okay.
Okay, anyway, that's what I have to present, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
We appreciate your work on this.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Mike?
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
For the NIPSCO Public Safety Grant, it's gonna be closing here in a couple of days. What I was looking at submitting for it, it's a non-matching grant, just letting you know that I'm planning on submitting for it. It's gonna be some active threat training, basically active shooter training for citizens, businesses, houses of worship. I wanna do about 6 sessions, is what I'm planning for. It depends on how much funding I get from this grant, if I get awarded the grant. Reached out to a couple companies that would come down and or up from Indianapolis and do the training for us, so I don't have to do all the talking. 'Cause I know some people don't like hearing me for 2 hours. But that's what that public safety grant is about. So
So it's non-matching.
it's a non-matching grant.
And it's to help you prepare for the event of a,
In event of an active shooter, so it's not teaching them how to actually respond to an active shooter, like shooting back and everything, but awareness, how to develop plans, for their businesses, for their homes, when they're out and about in the public, and those type of issues. Because it's becoming a growing problem, you know, in Indiana. We just had 2 of the same day down in Beach Grove in Indianapolis a few weeks ago. Lafayette had one, and it continues to become an issue throughout the United States. So
I didn't know Lafayette had it.
earlier in the year, there was a shooting outside of Martin Mall. And on the repeaters, the council did approve the $60,000 to work on the repeaters, and I did get the quote from Motorola the night before. So we did get the 3 quotes. The one from Raycom was $39,451. J&K was $39,050.91, and the one from Mark was $44,000. I didn't know which one you guys wanted to go.
Which one's the best? I'm
They're
sorry,
all good.
I don't wanna cheat public safety.
No, they're all good. Good. It just
You
depends.
recommend then?
Huh?
You probably want to say, what would you recommend?
What would I recommend?
Kinda put you on the spot.
Yeah, you do. At your base, what you're running out of the state, out of 911 right now, is Motorola.
Motorola. So you
We
wanna
have
say-
we have J&K out there now. And they're good as well, which is Kenwood Systems. And ARC has given us a really in-depth proposal. And that it's, I mean, it's 6 of one, half dozen of another, they're all really good.
They're all bidding on really close to the same thing.
Right. And all the bids are pretty close. You know, one's a little bit higher than the other one's.
One probably got a little bit more equipment than the other, is that why it's higher?
He's digging a little bit deeper in depth on it. I think he might be over engineering it, but I'm not a wholehearted comms guy.
Like I said, I'd like to have the one that's good for our public safety.
I mean, the 911 advisory board does meet on Thursday.
Kevin's got a question.
Mike, which one do you think is gonna be most responsive if there's gonna be a problem?
So,
Respond the quickest, shall we
to
say?
respond the quickest, so Raycom is out of Lafayette, their guy is good. J&K, we've always had good response time as well.
They're out of India, right?
They're out of Fort Wayne, but they've got 2 guys that work out of Kokomo,
Kokomo.
and those are the 2 systems that, you know, that we currently have, and their response times have been very
Does,
good.
or there seems to be like something you might want to.
Right,
think about.
no, and I've looked at their response times and that.
And who'd you say it was, Jay and?
J&K
J&K.
Communications. They're the ones
And they're the ones doing our service now,
out at the tower.
out of the tower, and that's where most of this equipment will be, in the tower?
Yeah. So what you're taking is all the phone lines out, getting rid of the phone lines completely on all the equipment, besides the antenna that would be adding off of the partial tower that we have there, and the rest of the equipment would be out at the tower.
Now, is that gonna be easily moved when we get the new building?
The tower?
Oh, no, never mind.
The tower's not moving.
Yeah.
I'm not moving. The tower.
Well, since J&K's out there, I'll help you make a decision now, because I would, since they're out close to Kokomo, they can be here pretty quick, on the same distance from Lafayette, and they already service it, they know it out there, so that would be my recommendation.
So they Motorola,
No, they're Kenwood.
Kenwood.
They're Kenwood. ARC is Harris Communications for L3, and Raycom is Motorola. And Motorola's everything inside, that's what's inside the 911 center now.
And their bid was, what amount was their bid?
Which one? Motorola's? Or
No,
J&K's?
The 44, the.
No, Advanced Radio Communications ARC was 44. Raycom was $39,451.65, and J&K was $39,050.91. And that doesn't include the reprogramming of the VHF radios, and that, which are about $45 a piece.
That includes or
It
does
does
not?
not. But what I'm trying to work with, whoever we go with, one company already said they would, on the reprogramming, they would do it by the hour. which would knock that price down, so.
And they're both not in that contract.
They're not included in the contract, so that, the 60,000 will definitely cover them, there'll still be some money left over.
Well, this is the kind of the problem, we got J and K, we got Motorola, I mean, to me, it don't need to be so. But we can't just go in and replace everything in dispatch, because that would cost
No,
$2 or $3 million. I'm still gonna stick with the J and K, I'm gonna make a motion to go with J and K.
We have, we have more equipment, more Motorola equipment.
yeah, there's three consoles at dispatch that
Is Motorola.
Back up.
was sitting over there, had to be.
So what do you think we go with
I think Motorola's gonna.
Motorola? I wanna retract my motion, I'll make a motion.
I knew that we, go with, Motorola, with the, Raycom.
And you said on the 911.
Right. That's what I do, yeah.
You gonna second it?
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a motion and a second, that we go with, Raycom and Motorola. All in favor of that motion, please say aye. Aye.
Okay. And then the last thing on the NOAA weather radios that I got with the Duke Energy grant, all of them have been accounted for and
How
distributed.
many of those did you have?
200. So I am gonna go out and look for another grant to get some, because I had more requests than I did have for radios.
How much are those radios a piece, off the top of your head?
I was able to get 200 of them for $4,980. So, he cut me a break, they're normally about $40 a piece.
How many more do you think we would need?
I don't know, 2 years ago when I got the FEMA grant, I had 350 of them, and those went within 2 months. I don't know.
Because I think those are kind of important for the people out in the county.
Right. And I can see what I got left in my budget towards the end of the year, if I don't use any of the, siren maintenance. If we don't have to do any maintenance on the siren, maybe I can see if we can work that and use some money out of that to purchase some, if I can't find another grant, but there's only a couple thousand in that, but if I can get 100 here, 100 there, it's a little bit at a time. And a lot of them did go to into some of our Burnetsville addresses and Rossville addresses. I have a lot of those, some Piermont area as well.
There's no siren down in that area, is there?
No, there's no sirens in a lot of those areas. About a third of the county is covered by a warning siren.
The people are getting these radios, are they signing up for Code Red when they get a radio?
I mentioned to all of them about signing up for Code Red, and a lot of them were already signed up, and some of them said that they would sign up.
It'd be ought to make it a situation, then you get this radio and put it on your phone too. It's free.
No, I know. So, I mean, the Code Red is also expanded.
Yeah. I love that Code Red. I mean, except for when I get woke up with it, but I forget to silence it when I'm done.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mike,
Yes, sir.
Cameron,
how much? I wrote down the other one thinking that's what they were gonna be.
$39,451.65.
Thank you.
You want a copy of the quote?
God, no. Thank you.
Can we put it up here as that?
Yeah, the map. I'm not sure what he gave you, but we have a Zoom or a digital copy as well. So last Tuesday's area plan meeting, we had a petition presented to us to rezone the properties out by Anderson. Right there off of 218, there were 4 parcels.
So this room, how it's that farmland right there, because the railroad track.
Correct.
And it's that parcel just sold, correct? Not
Yes.
too long ago?
Yes, it was just sold a couple months ago, yes. That particular area was all pieced apart by the Hoosier Heartland when it came through, so. It's currently ag, and the request was to rezone it to, I-2, which as you can see here on the beacon map. Just kind of float with the area. I don't know the scope of the entire project, other than, just said for future proposed development. So I have Jake Adams with me, to speak on behalf of the project itself, so.
Yep, so we, one of the things that I've noticed in my first year and a half here with the county is that, the state has a underwhelming surplus of rail-served industrial sites. And because of the nature of this being transitional, it was an opportunity for us to reach out to the buyers and ask them if they're interested in looking at making this an industrial transitional site for our community and for economic development. And being the fact that the north track is already I-2, so it'd be the property adjacent to its northwest across the tracks. The rezone for the south plot would just make it a very sizable industrial site for future use. So we've been working with the property owners, there's multiple property owners, and looking at how we make this a more feasible rail-served industrial site. And we're in the beginning phases of that currently, to include site civil. We have engineers working on it currently, just doing wetland delineation. We get to look at environmental phase 1 and phase 2, all the, I mean, there's like 15 check marks as you know, getting a site ready, so.
So the recommendation by the board was favorable recommendation, however, they presented to you guys to possibly put a cap on, I think out there off 75. I'm not sure of the name of the project, it's been probably 2016 or 17, I can bear. That was rezoned, but there was a limit on it, so if nothing happened within this amount of time, it would revert back to its original zone.
That was where they were gonna do the cheap project, was it?
Yeah, correct. So that's what the board recommended. I believe they put in 15 years, but that's certainly your guys' choice on whether to do it and what the time frame would be. I believe the one on 75 is up. Donnie and I are looking at that now, but so it'll revert back to ag.
So you probably can't just close anything that might be going into that.
We do have a couple of prospects in the pipeline. They won't even come into town unless it's I-2. So I mean, they pretty much told us like, we're not gonna even be in Carroll County if we don't have a site that's already approved for I-2 use. So, yeah, I mean, like you guys know, these projects come and go. They come in the community, they talk with us. This is really gonna help forward our ability to recruit those types of companies.
It looks like they'll have to add an extra set of tracks.
Well, is Norfolk Southern willing to put sidings in there?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, they will.
And the way it's sitting now, the switch cost is gonna be minimal, actually. They don't believe that this will be any more than $1 million for a switch, which is rare in some cases, because people talk about having rail-served sites, but they're not really rail-served compatible. They just have a railroad track that goes beside it. This just so happened to be, have the ability to have a switch put in on a road.
Because there's already a switch there for Anderson that comes back this way.
Yep, yes, sir, that's exactly it.
My biggest concern would be traffic during fall, and when they do harvest the wheat and fall harvest.
So-
Those trucks already lined down on most of the heartland now.
Steve, that's one of the top 2 to 3 questions that we're addressing with Andersons now. So Andersons have been with us, the EDC and the landowners, since we started this conversation about 8 months ago, 6 months ago, since the transactions happened, is to figure out how we best formulate a traffic pattern that isn't congested for this area. So we've worked with the Tippecanoe Area Plan, Tippecanoe County Area Plan Commission, because they do our long-range transportation plan, and we have put in the plan to enhance this area and have NDOT enhance this area. So we're starting to to answer that question, we're starting to put into motion now preemptive things that allow us to make changes if we get a project in this site. So NDOT would already know that this is a potential site that could see growth And how are they gonna mitigate the
There's
safety
only,
trap?
if I remember right, there's what, 6 houses right here on 218?
There's one that sits back right off Anderson Drive.
Right.
And
I'm talking on the site where we're looking to rezone. That row of houses on 218.
Oh, the, heading towards Camden?
Yeah,
Yes,
there's
yeah, they're right there.
Abandoned property,
Yep.
about 6. So there's minimal disturbance of a lot of people if something would come.
Well, and they're already adjacent to an I-2, I mean, they're across the street from an industrial I-2, so this, I think, is minimally impacting them, the potential of them, other than what's already across the street, so, yes, I think we've gotten, to be honest with you, I think we've gotten very fortunate that the way the Heartland and the 218 got designed, whoever was a part of that has created now a sub-plot where a really attractive piece of transitional industrial ground, and this rezone approval, even given a time limit, would be fine, would allow our organization to really take and put some energy behind this. So that would be our next steps, is to begin to really put together an exposure for this, get it listed on, all of our subsequent sites.
So on this map you gave us, up here about 525 west, that goes back across the railroad tracks, there's a purple line there, it says existing road frontage, is that gonna be?
Yeah, I think the mapping is all conceptual at this point. There's no plans in a sense of like actual dollars to cents. We wanna make sure that this is a palatable concept for our community, right? So I think your input, I think we'll continue to refine what the boundaries look like, all those things. I mean, we've still got infrastructure, we've gotta talk about, study, where's it coming from? So
To
there's,
be honest with you, it's a perfect site for something to go in there, because you got the Heartland, gets them right out of town, got the railroad track.
And NDOT would do it, if something was to go in, then NDOT would do a major traffic study.
The only issue I would see, the rail cars blocking 218, making people late to work.
so yeah, with that has been, we're talking to Norfolk, there's been a couple plans, renderings already to kind of help with that flow, so we're not blocking when they're backing in. So is there a way to go north of the intersection and have them back the switch in to where you're not actually blocking 218? So, yeah, I mean, Anderson's has been at the table, they've actually been really great at being a part of this.
Right.
Because it's gonna impact them in a positive way as well. They see another agribusiness there or some kind of supportive business for Anderson. This just gives us a chance to recruit even their expansion, their future expansions down the road. So, yes, all that needs to be addressed, and these are all good questions I think we're gonna continue to work through as we go.
I don't remember about what the existing power line capacity is there, but I know the natural gas pipeline is a big one right down through there.
So yeah, as we're starting to do feasibility, and Bill, you would know this as well, like, this is really starting to be a really good location. So, Walnut Valley Power will be upgrading the substation right there next to Anderson's, and because of the work we're starting to do now, they might actually be upgrading that sub to handle maybe up to 3 megawatts of power, which we don't have that anywhere really right now in our community. So to have a 3 megawatt substation with a big gas pipeline, I mean, it just all.
That's 8 inches at least.
Yeah, so it really makes it, these things sometimes happen by accident or by chance, or just good community planning. I think with the Heartland coming through, with 218's direction, with Anderson being there, it's really made the opportunity for the county to leverage a really good rail served site that's got 4-lane highway access.
Did you have many objections to the?
I had one phone call from one of the neighbors just asking what the project was, which I told him, we have not been told that, so it's possible future development. So,
Is there anyone out here that wants to comment on this?
There's a tree line here, so if it was something that would be, there's a lot of wooded area, you can see here, find out. Right. And so actually, the only time you will see that is in the fall and winter,
I didn't think you
when
wanted
the leaves are off.
I'm not remembering this existing private ag grade crossing though.
That crossing there, it comes off 218, you turn, and it's for the farmer to get into that field, cause that's the only way you can get there.
Well, so you're asked, yes, Dale?
I think this is a good shot in the arm for economic development in Carroll County and especially our local area. I think this would be a great, project to move forward on from what I've seen and read about it. So I don't see any problem with it at this stage. Now, it could be down the road, but that depends on what they get going on and everything like that. But to just change that in hoping that something comes down, I think is a good idea.
I was just getting ready to make the motion to recommend it.
You're asking us to change the zone.
Yeah, so it's a rezone from, it's currently ag to I2, and if you guys wish to put a stipulation in on a time frame, that's certainly your choice, but if you choose not to.
10 years?
I think it was 10, but I'm not sure, so that's not, and the APC come up with 15 years, but again, that's just a recommendation, so.
Why did they want that?
In the event that, like I brought up at a meeting, let's just say all this, takes place and then someone walks away from it, which in this case, I don't think is gonna happen. Jake's done his due diligence, the, companies have put in a lot of work, a lot of engineering. In any case like this with I2, if someone walks away from it, now that land is I2. I2 has a very broad spectrum of what can go in it. So, with that said, if nothing happens in 10 years, we don't want that to just stay A2, or I2, it reverts back to its original zone.
But as we said up here, we can change it.
You guys can put
We
it,
can change it without having to put a limit on.
yeah, I mean, it's the final approvals to the commissioners, yes, so. If you guys don't wanna put one, you don't have to, if you want to put 10, 15 years. I'm not sure how you did the, State Road 75 Lakenberry one, couldn't find the minutes for that today, so I don't know how you guys did that.
I remember we gave them the abatement, it was like a 10-year abatement when I sat on the council. And that's probably coming up.
Yeah.
Can you give us some examples of I2 businesses?
Well, I think our primary is finished food product.
So very similar to Indian Packers.
Indiana Packers really utilizes, the primary food process, so taking raw in, and then the I2 portion of Indiana Packers is, and I'm just from the ordinance, would be like packaging and sealing, right? So I think
So I guess my question is, what is the zoning in the existing industrial park?
I2.
So you would add to I2, even though you have vacant I2.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think what makes this property most valuable for economic development is the rail access. So different products or different companies that expand.
Some use rail, some use
Some
drive.
don't, and there is a clear delineation when I look at these leads or we talk to companies, they either want rail or they don't.
So why is it taking it so long for this out here to do them?
Yeah, I think there's not just one answer, there's a whole bunch that we're currently working on to try to solve that, so.
So what would-
At their meeting.
Right, yeah, I mean, water was an issue for a long time, right? Frankly, it's not large enough, if you want my honest opinion, I think that we need more acres, a lot of the
Well, I
projects
guess
that
my
I get.
question would be, you made some dad specifically with the Indian Packer location here.
And it was
And
zoned
we've not
inaccurately.
even got,
We just
Yeah.
rezoned it at last month's meeting to
That's a fair
I2.
question.
well, which is a great question, but they've really brought nothing along with them. When you look at other industries like car and auto,
Right.
we haven't even got their plastic business, and they use a lot of plastic, they use a lot of cardboard.
Yeah, and we actually